Um, Thank you all for that reading. That was fun to see. It was great to see families together on something for a Family Sunday. So thank you all for agreeing to do that. When Rosemary asked me if I wanted to do the sermon today, I agreed. I had so many ideas and topics that I wanted to talk about, things that I'd learned, and things that I wanted to say. But as time passed, I was finding that I didn't find passion in what I had thought for sermons. And I wasn't making a personal connection with them. And then I started to wonder, should I do this? Should I not do this? Well, a few weeks later, I found myself going back to 1 Corinthians chapter 13. I know a lot of us look at that as a reading that's found in weddings mostly. But if you take the whole chapter together, I think there's a lot more to it than that. And when I'm going through times of difficulty, that is the chapter I go to. The first part of it, if I speak in the tongues of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or clanging cymbal. Well, that's true. I'm finding more and more that if you don't have love in your life, and you don't have love around you, you don't have a whole lot. You're just making a ruckus for no good reason. If you're making a ruckus, you should have a good reason. So as things get hard in life, and you're making a ruckus about it, at least you should have a good reason. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and knowledge, and I have all faith, so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. So I have faith and I have hope, and all of these things are going on in life, but how am I going to get through them if I don't have love? There are things going around in all of our lives at all times. If we don't have love, how are we going to get through it? If we don't open ourselves up to love, how are we going to get through it? None of us have the power of prophecy. I wish we all could say we did, or at least have one person in our lives that do. We don't. We never know what's coming. But does it really matter if we have love to get us through it? I want you all to think about that for a moment. If I give away all my possessions and I hand over my body so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. So if I keep putting forth all of my efforts that I have, I put myself out there, I work hard, I play hard, I volunteer hard, I do everything I can to the best, what's the point if there's nobody there in my life that's going to appreciate that? Is there any reason to be doing all of that? No, I think love motivates us all to do that and push us to those limits. Here's the famous part that we all hear at the weddings. Love is patient, love is kind, love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way, it's not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. That's the kind of love I appreciate having in my life. That's how I look at that phrase. Not a commitment between a husband and a wife, though I can see where it would fall into that. But that's the commitment between you and your friends, you and your family, you and your children. That's where the love comes in. And if your love in your life isn't fulfilling these guidelines, which I look at them as, is it real love? Are those the people that are going to be there with you? They're going to hold your hand in times of difficulty. Who are going to rejoice with you in your times of joy and triumphs. That, to me, is the definition of what you want to find for love in your life, whether it be in your spouse or in your friends. And those are the values I would like to see us all instill in our children. That's the way to love. Love never ends, but as for prophecies, they will come to an end. As for tongues, they will cease. As far as knowledge, it will come to an end. For we only know in part, and we prophesy only in part. But when the complete comes, the partial will come to an end. None of us know the future. Things change in an instant that we don't see coming, whether it be medical, whether it be physical, whether it be job-related, whether it be financial. Things come out of nowhere. We cannot see the future. We cannot prophesy. But that's going to be okay. We might not know it at this point, but things are going to get better because we have the endurance of love in our lives to help us get through. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. But when I became an adult, I put an end to childish ways. This part makes me smile as a parent. This is the part that I have started to cling to as I watch my daughters grow up. When we're children, we have problems. Every one of you kids out there has problems that you face every day in your life. And I think us as parents sometimes forget that what your problems are huge in your life. They're very significant to you. We get all wrapped up in our adult problems and think they're more important. But sometimes we need to remember, we were children once too. My favorite thing that's come up lately is Chloe came home very upset one day because kids were picking on her for being short and freckled. Well, I clearly remember having that issue as a child as well. It was devastating. My mom sitting in the pews today, she could probably attest to the fact that she heard me complain about that more than once, and she probably complained to her mom about that more than once. And at the time, that's devastating to us as kids. Are we going to fit in? Are we going to get somewhere in life? Are people going to like us if we're short and freckled? Well, it does get better, guys, I promise. But we as parents need to remember that these are big things. Even though we're facing big things as parents, we need to remember that our kids are facing big things as kids too. And remember to give them the love that we need in our lives, because they need our love just as much as they're growing up and they're going through their child things. For now we see a mirror dimly, but when we see face to face, when we will see face to face. Now I only know in part, that I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. We have an idea of what's to come. We face our things, but it's going to take the real things happening for us to understand what's going on. We're not fully realized yet. We're all facing something. We look in the mirror every day. Some of us are facing job issues. Some of us are facing financial issues, moves, divorces, new children coming. It's not always bad. Sometimes it's a very good thing that we're facing in the mirror every morning when we wake up and get ready to face our day. We might not fully realize why we're going through what we're going through, but it will come to us at some point. Someday the light's going to go on and we're going to say, oh, now it makes sense. That's why I went through that. Or there's the lesson that I was supposed to learn. And now faith, hope, and love abide. These three, the greatest of these is love. Again, I keep emphasizing how important love is to have in your life. But there's also the two other parts, faith and hope. We have to have faith that things are going to work. Faith that these things that happen to us are happening for a reason. Faith that we're going to get through this, that this pregnancy is not going to be the end of my life because I can't move, which a friend of mine is going through. That this divorce is not the end of my life. That this job transition is not the end of my life. That we are going to move on. Things are going to get better. We will get through this with love because we have faith in all of that. And then there's the word hope. Hope is my favorite word in the entire English language. When I went a couple months ago to get my recent tattoo, my tattoo artist said, I was looking at the drawing and I decided I wanted to add this bird sitting on a perch. And I instantly said yes, because the first thought that came to me was a quote from an Emily Dickinson poem that I go to very often when I need inspiration. She says, hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without words and never stops at all. Hope is what drives us internally. Hope is what we need. It's the light that lights us inside, the fire that drives us. And without it, we have nothing either personally. We can't go out in love if we have no hope. We can't go forward without hope and some sort of optimism. So I know it's been a rough few months in this congregation for a lot of people. Not just here at church, but in your personal lives. We're all facing that. Kids are having a rough time. It's the end of the school year. They want to get out. They're going through all their tests because the state's making them do that. It's a rough time of year. We all want to be outside enjoying the sunshine instead of in facing our realities. But have faith. We will all get through this, and then we'll face something else. There will be something joyous around the next corner or another struggle to get through. But keep holding close to hope. Hope is what's going to get you through. And rely on the people that are in your life. Rely on that love. Let it be there for you. Let that love get you through. People love you no matter what. They're going to help you get through everything. The good, the bad, the ugly. I am so grateful to have so many people that love me. And so many of you are sitting in this room right now. I am so grateful that you came for this. I don't know what my future holds, but I know thanks to you guys, I'm going to get through it.